what would an episode and a segment of What's More Likely be without mentioning Evgeni Malkin and Sidney Crosby in the same question? So, what's more likely, Horwat? Evgeni Malkin, in what could be his farewell tour, scores over 71 points in a storybook finish, or Sidney Crosby does something that only one person in the history of the league was able to do, which is put up 100 points at the age of 38 or more.
See, you had me not wanting to bet against Sidney Crosby, but I might have to and say the Evgeni Malkin piece. Don't get me wrong, I think Sidney Crosby could, but who's going to be playing with him? I know we just said, hey, maybe these rookies could put up 30 with him. Maybe he could also put up 30 again. I still think he's going to get over a point per game. I think that's a lock, but 100 points might seem a bit out of reach just for the sake of, again, it's not this team's prerogative to lose. They're not making it too much of a prerogative to win. He might, but how much help is he going to get around him? Mm-hmm. But Evgeni Malkin, for his last rides, should be putting it all on the table. And I think he will. So I have a lot of interest in seeing what Evgeni Malkin can do, and I think it'll just be a great season from him. 71 points should be the bar, or should be the minimum. Start from there and go up.
Yeah, I agree that I also think that Evgeni Malkin is going to have a better year this year. I mean, 50 points last year. You also have to take into account that he missed 14, and not only did he miss 14, you could tell right before he went out and right after he came back that he was still dealing with it a little bit. Right, the only time that he looked fresh last season was the beginning of the year, obviously, and he looked great at the beginning of the year. And then after that Four Nations break, because he had missed the games leading into it, he came back, he had fresh legs, he was fully healthy, and he tore it up again for a stretch. So if he's able to stay healthy and not go in and out with multiple different injuries, he's guaranteed to have a much better season statistically than 50 points. That was, as we talked about last week, I think, or 2 weeks ago, statistically his worst season in the NHL when it comes to points per game. And it's not particularly close. Now, Evgeni Malkin has also had only over 71 points only one time in the last 5 years. So even if he performs better, do I think that he's going to do that much better? That's a hard one to swallow. That's a hard one to predict, especially when the inverse of it and the other side of this is just betting on Sidney Crosby to continue to be great and do great things. And I think that while I do believe Malkin will have a better year, I would hitch my wagon to the guy who has proven everybody right about him for over 2 decades. Now, here's a weird stat about Crosby that I could not believe when I was looking at it earlier. He has scored 90-plus points over the past 3 seasons. Would you believe me, Horwat, if I told you that is the only time he has ever had 90-plus points in 3 consecutive seasons in his career?
Would I believe it? Off the jump, no. On the surface level, no. I wouldn't believe it. But the more I think about it, the more I go, well, injuries, lockouts, and COVID. Yeah, it makes a little more sense, but on the surface, you're just reading that off. No, that doesn't make sense at all.
Yeah, there's a lot of 80-point finishes in here, and a lot of people are going to say, well, what about early in his career? He had 102 points as a rookie, 120 the next year, and then the following season, he missed time with the high ankle sprain, scored only 72, and then he went 103, 109 the 2 years after that. So that's the time, realistically, that you would have been like, yeah, of course he scored 90 points in 3 consecutive seasons, but that first injury, that high ankle sprain in year 3, that's what kind of ended that streak, if you will. Mm-hmm. But the other side of this, 35, 36, 37-year-old seasons all over 90 points. And that's the first time he does it. Like, that just, again, goes to show you why if I'm betting on somebody, I'm betting on Sidney frickin' Crosby. I mean, we talked about it in the last What's More Likely question. He scored 33 goals last year. Do we forget that he had 1 in the first 11? So even if he gets off to a cold start, this guy is prone to doing miraculous things over the course of a season. So I will bet on Crosby. Is it likely? Probably not. And there's a reason that the only player to score 100 at the age of 38 or older is Gordie Howe, and he did it at the age of 40. There's a reason for that, because it's a hard feat to accomplish, even in today's game where so many players are scoring over 100 points in every single season. We're getting half a dozen, sometimes more, over that century mark. But at the age of 38, which the birthday's coming up here, so nice early birthday to Sidney Crosby, I think that it's going to be a difficult feat to accomplish, but I would hitch my wagon to Sidney Crosby scoring 100 before I got Malkin doing something he's only done once in the past 5.
That's fair. It'd be a stellar season, and looking at the numbers of it, his last 100-point season came in 18-19 and 79 games. He had 65 assists that year.
Ew, sickening.
That really is.
This is Crosby.
I mean, he had 60 assists just a couple years ago. So it's I get where you're coming from with that too. It is very possible. I just think of who's going to be playing around him. It's going to be a tough road.